Hello everyone, I'm Brian Dragon, and welcome to another Truth or Scare commentary. Today it is the Bermuda Triangle. Yes,
Could
Alex,
the
hello.
Atlantic Ocean be hiding a doorway to another dimension? East of Florida, there are mysterious waters that some claim can trap boats and planes that disappear forever. Is something going on here? Truth or Scare searches for the answer deep in the mysterious Bermuda Triangle. But beware,
Alex, please
once
watch
we
the
go
claws.
in, there may be no way out.
As always, I'm a curious which documentary was reformatted. Please, watch the claws.
Deep under the ocean, there's a mystery just waiting to be solved. For decades, in an infamous region of the Atlantic Ocean called the Bermuda Triangle, travelers have just been disappearing. But some say there's no proof that it's anything more than a whole lot of hype. Is the truth out there? There's only one way to find out. We're heading straight in to the Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle covers over 500,000 square miles of the Atlantic Ocean, between the island of Bermuda, the southern tip of Florida, and Puerto Rico. For over 200 years, disturbing reports have been coming from here. Reports of experienced pilots and captains entering the triangle and completely losing their way. But this is an extremely busy route for both ships and airplanes, and almost all of them make it through without any problem. But still, there's something about the reports that some people can't ignore. One of the first recorded disappearances in the mysterious history of the Bermuda Triangle happened in 1814, when the United States Navy warship USS Wasp disappeared with its crew of 140 men. In 1918, the naval supply ship USS Cyclops was lost with 309 men. A freighter named the Marine Sulphur Queen sailed into the Triangle in 1963.
Wasp, Cyclops, Sulphur Queen, who named these?
Charter planes, fishing vessels, military training flights, sailboats, even gigantic tankers and freighters, all gone without a trace. And nobody can explain why. Many believe that the disappearances have to do with the Earth itself. The Earth is surrounded by its own magnetic field. A compass needle always points towards the Earth's magnetic North Pole, which can be up to 20 degrees different from the geographic or true North Pole, depending on where you are. It's called compass variation, and if navigators don't account for it, they'll find themselves seriously off course and in serious trouble. But the Bermuda Triangle is different. It's one of only two places on Earth where the magnetic north and the true north actually do match up. And this can cause a compass to completely lose direction. And that can easily cause a vessel to get lost. Sometimes for good. But not everyone believes this theory. Some blame it all on bad weather. Violent thunderstorms, intense hurricanes, and maybe even underwater earthquakes crisscross the triangle with frightening frequency. The theory is that these disturbances might cause giant waterspouts. What's a waterspout? Oh, just a tornado made out of water. And for most boats, its first run-in with a waterspout will be its last. But the theories don't stop there. Methane is a gas produced under the sea floor, and sometimes it bubbles up to the surface. Some say an eruption of megabubbles could be big enough to sink any ship unfortunate enough to be in the area. and maybe even pull down a passing airplane. Then again, most people who travel through these waters have no trouble at all. According to Coast Guard statistics, the number of aircraft and ship disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle is no higher than in any similar-sized chunk of ocean anywhere in the world. But there are a few cases so shocking that some people have to wonder. Coming up, 6 planes, 27 men, and 1 bizarre disappearance. The tragic mission of Flight 19. Next on Truth or Scare. It's a place where ships and planes go missing and are never found again. But hard facts tell us there's nothing unusual going on in the Bermuda Triangle. So how can we ignore the unsolved case of 6 U.S. Navy planes that disappeared in 1945?
I don't
It
know.
was the afternoon of December 5th. Flight 19, a group of 6 torpedo bombers called Avengers, was preparing to take off. They were all carrying student pilots, young
Maybe
soldiers
they
who
were all
were learning
Thanos
how to fly.
snapped.
Their teacher, Lieutenant Charles Taylor, an experienced pilot. Their mission? To fly from Florida to the Bimini Islands and practice bombing runs on a sunken ship. Calvin Shoemaker was a member of Flight 19. At the time, Shoemaker was an ensign with the Navy Reserve. Just as he was about to take off, another pilot who was having engine trouble asked to switch planes with him.
One of our pilots, Ensign Bossy, couldn't get his engine started. I was taxiing out and saw that Bossy was having engine problems. I asked Lieutenant Taylor if I could make that swap. And Taylor said, go ahead and swap out with him. And you, Shoemaker, try to get his engine started and catch up with us.
But he was only in the plane a few minutes when he realized that he wouldn't make it.
I couldn't get his engine started either.
Though he missed out on the mission that day, trading planes with the other pilot saved Calvin Shoemaker's life. After completing its mission, Flight 19 started heading back to Florida. The base in Fort Lauderdale was in constant contact with the pilots by radio, so they heard the whole terrifying story as it was happening. First, storm clouds moved in as the sun was setting.
Sunset was around 5:20 p.m. and the weather got bad. The flight caught itself in bad weather, rain, clouds, so they had to fly on instruments.
This meant that the pilots were forced to fly their planes using only radar and compasses, which is no problem, usually. Because suddenly, as the ocean raged below them, Lieutenant Taylor reported that his compass had stopped working. All 5 planes in his squadron were lost in the Bermuda Triangle. The control tower was helpless. They asked Lieutenant Taylor to turn on his radar so they could track the planes. But for some strange reason, he didn't. There was only one way to make contact and hopefully save Flight 19. The Navy sent a seaplane out to search for the lost Avengers. Then, just a few minutes after it took off, the flight tower picked up some strange radio transmissions. It had to be the missing planes, but where were they? And why wouldn't they fly west? As darkness fell, Ensign Shoemaker was starting to lose hope.
The communications became garbled, sporadic, in some cases so broken, I felt that they were getting further and further away from Fort Lauderdale.
By the next morning, the Navy rescue seaplane that went looking for Flight 19 had not reported in. Added to the 5 Avengers, there were now 6 planes missing in the Bermuda Triangle. When it was finally light enough, hundreds of ships went to search for the Avengers of Flight 19 and the seaplane. But the rescue mission failed. They found no sign of the lost planes. The Navy commanders who were there at the time couldn't comprehend it. One of them said it was as if they vanished from the face of the Earth and went to Mars. A month later, the Navy made the report about what happened that night. Flight 19's leader was confused, so he accidentally led his men in the wrong direction, away from land. According to the report, they must have run out of fuel and crashed into the ocean, but the case has never officially been closed. There are lots of theories about how the men were lost, but no one has ever truly explained it. The only survivor, Cal Shoemaker, is still haunted by the loss of his friends.
It was a tragic event at the time. We lost 14 men. They had families, and it was not a pretty picture.
And until there's a good explanation, pilots and sailors who cross the triangle will probably always wonder and worry. Nearly 25 years after the disappearance of Flight 19, a pilot claims he came face to face with what brought it down. Is the mystery solved?
I don't know.
Find out next on Truth or Scare. Though most planes and ships never experience any trouble in the Bermuda Triangle, people are fascinated with the ones that do, especially when one of the pilots lives to tell the tale. Bruce Gernon is one of those pilots. He's been flying planes in the Bermuda Triangle for years. When he was just 23, Bruce made what could have been the final flight of his life. High above the Bermuda Triangle, he had an experience most pilots wouldn't believe or survive. An experience he now believes was the same one had by Flight 19. The day was December 4th, 1970, 25 years after Flight 19 was lost, almost to the day. Bruce was navigating the sky above the Bimini Islands, when out of nowhere, he was surrounded. A huge cloud bank had completely swallowed his plane, and Bruce and his crew were trapped in a blinding fog.
It engulfed the airplane as we tried climbing above it, and we weren't able to escape from it. We'd break free for maybe 10 seconds or so, and then it would catch back up to us again.
Bruce tried to maneuver the plane out, but the cloud bank literally wouldn't let him escape. Nearly 10 miles to the top, the cloud bank was much too high to fly over. His only hope was to steer directly into the monster cloud. Surrounded by thunder and lightning, Bruce risked almost certain electrocution trying to make it out to the other side. As he flew, Bruce claims the sides of the cloud were rotating around his plane.
And a strange thing happened again to the blue sky. It was gone, and everything was gray, and everything looked strange.
Flying through the cloud tunnel, Bruce says he could see the tips of his wings actually scraping the cloud itself. It was like a terrible dream, where everything seemed to be moving in slow motion. Bruce calls it the electric fog, but it did more than block his view that day. His navigation equipment was knocked out too.
Not only that, the compass itself was spinning slowly, counterclockwise. And at this point, I realized that I wouldn't be able to fly the airplane by instruments.
Then, out of nowhere, a voice came on the radio. "Who is over Miami?" was all he heard, but it gave him hope. And when he looked down, Bruce could now see Florida, slowly appearing through the dense fog. But that would mean that Bruce's plane had been catapulted back to where he'd started. How? He'll probably never know why, but somehow Bruce's life was spared that day. And after thinking back on it for all of these years, Bruce is more convinced than ever that the electric fog is responsible for many of the accidents in the Bermuda Triangle, including Flight 19. Investigators say there has to be something that causes pilots and boaters in the triangle to seem almost hypnotized. If not electric fog, then what? Some say the answer might just be hidden underwater. There's still so much we don't understand about the ocean. Could the answer possibly be down there? Somewhere. Could the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle be linked to the lost civilization of Atlantis? We dive for clues.
I don't know.
Next
According
on
to
Truth or
Plato, Atlantis, if it actually existed, and I
Mysterious
doubt it,
fog.
should be somewhere in the
Instruments that go
Mediterranean.
haywire. Sometimes the sky over the Bermuda Triangle seems to practically swallow planes whole. But many say that the mysterious waters below are just as deadly. Could the depths be hiding the real answers to the unexplained events? John Dugan is with the U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary. He's seen unpredictable weather take control of a ship, leaving the captain completely helpless. But it's the other incidents that bother John, the ones that can't be explained by storms.
I was on sunset duty for the Coast Guard. We found a boat with not anyone aboard. Our concern was for the persons aboard. Where were they? Why weren't they on the vessel?
Science hasn't been able to solve the mystery. Many point out that the number of disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle are just a coincidence. But for those that do believe, over the years there have been some pretty wild theories about the mystifying occurrences. Why does navigation equipment sometimes stop working when planes and ships pass through the triangle? Bill Donato has been exploring the area for more than 10 years to try and answer that question. He focuses on the waters around Bimini, where Flight 19 vanished and Bruce Gernon had his run-in with a strange cloud. He takes his tiny one-man submarine down to the ocean floor to search for clues. Some researchers believe this is where the famous lost continent of Atlantis was before this happened. According to the legend, a volcano on Atlantis erupted, with catastrophic results. Fire rained down until there was nothing left. Atlantis sank to the bottom of the sea. But some say the volcano had help. Edgar Cayce, a writer and prophet from the 1920s, believed that the culture of Atlantis had developed technology beyond anything we have today. Electromagnetic flying machines, lasers, and strange crystals that he believed could generate enormous
According
amounts
to
of power.
Plato, Atlantis was
But
simply an
according to
unbeatable
Cayce, the people of
naval
Atlantis
power.
eventually misused the power and set off the tragic eruption. Now that's definitely a wild theory, since there's no hard proof that Atlantis even existed. But if it did, and those power crystals were real and still active, it could explain the strange events in the Bermuda Triangle. Nothing's too weird for Bill to consider. Sea creatures, minerals, even mysterious powerful crystals. He doesn't know how exactly, but Bill's convinced Atlantis is at the heart of the mystery.
There's too many indications that there was something here a long time ago. It's basically over all of the Bahamas, from the east to the west, the north to the south. You can see a lot of it when you fly over in an airplane.
Like this formation of a dolphin, and this formation of a seahorse, and a road that still exists, under the waters off the coast of Bimini. For Bill, it all adds up to proof that Atlantis is real, or was, until something destroyed it. Bill is determined to find the link between the lost continent and the lost planes and people, and he's convinced the answer lies under the ocean with whatever's left of Atlantis.
I think that the things that have disappeared probably have disappeared because of something that's in the atmosphere and the water that can influence the forces of nature.
It would be truly amazing if Bill were right, but some of the other investigators are even wilder with their theories. Sean David Morton is one of the world's top experts on paranormal events. What's his take on the mysterious triangle? That the pilots and captains are being bombarded by energy that scrambles their brains.
We have communications from pilots and from ship's captains that before the planes or the craft disappear, they seem to go crazy. Some form of an electromagnetic disturbance, if you will, that actually short circuits the mind.
Sean believes the electric fog that Bruce ran into might hold the answer. He says we have to figure out what's making it and where it gets its strange hypnotic control. But that's not Sean's only wild theory. He also thinks aliens could be grabbing the ships and planes and lifting them right off our planet.
What if it's a door to another dimension? What if it's a door to another world instead of traveling into outer space to find whole new worlds? How exciting would that be for all of us to finally solve the mystery of the Bermuda Triangle?
If Sean's right, all of those people who've disappeared in the mysterious Bermuda Triangle could still be out there. Somewhere. Could the answer to this mystery really be as bizarre as power crystals from Atlantis? Or something as simple as bad weather? Since nothing's ever been proven, it's easy to see how people can believe almost anything is possible. But we do know that there are no more disappearances in the Bermuda Triangle than anywhere else in the world. One thing's still for sure. Travelers entering the Bermuda Triangle will probably always breathe easier when they've made it through alive.
Well, that was that. What do I think? I think it's a lot of stuff to consider, and some of it is kind of out there. I'm Brian Croydragon signing out. Stay straight.